Hey, Mega Moms, Jessica Hensley here with Real Estate Mega Moms, where we help moms create a life and a business that they love by helping them learn to leverage systems, software, and support. So, in case you don't know, we have a coaching program here at Mega Moms. It's called our Inner Circle, and we have lots of tools where we help you establish this leverage that we're talking about with the systems and the software. And then now we have a new program, which is our micro team formula, and it is all about how to create the leverage that you need with support. So that's why I'm saying systems, software, support. We have the tools to help you learn how to do all three of those things. I have kind of a different topic today. And I will say, for those that are watching, if you will comment, let me know who you are, just in case your name doesn't pop up on my StreamYard account, and where you're watching from. I would appreciate it because, as you can see, I am by myself today. And it is probably the most uncomfortable feeling I have whenever I go live and I'm just talking to myself. I much prefer conversational podcasts where I'm interviewing someone and I have someone to ask questions. So if you'll just be the other side to my conversation here, I would really appreciate it. Let me know that you're watching. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know where you're from, who you are. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're not watching live and you're listening to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast, hey Haley, or maybe you're watching the replay on YouTube, go ahead and comment because I will go back and I will read your comments. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to your support for your support of Real Estate Mega Moms. So today's topic is about success, the formula to success in real estate. And I was talking to my coach. Every coach needs their own coach. We really never get out of that cycle. In fact, I would say if you have a coach that doesn't have a coach, then they're not growing and excelling and exceeding. And you always should be trying to improve, right? So I have a coach, and he was talking to me about this formula to success. So that's the inspiration today. We're talking about how 90% of your success is determined by your mindset. Let me know if you agree. I'd like to hear if you have a hard time keeping your mindset right. Does anyone else struggle with mindset and success? You know what I'm talking about, where you know that there's something that you need to do, right? Maybe I've told you as your coach, I've been telling you to do something, or you've been watching and listening to our podcast, and you need to do a video, or maybe you need to organize your CRM, or you need to be posting more on social media, or whatever it is that you know that you need to do, and you're not taking action on it, right? And the reason that most of us don't take action is because of our mindset. We have to get ourselves motivated and excited about it. And another flip side of that, I believe a lot of us don't take action because of fear. We are afraid of what is going to happen, and we're really just afraid that we're going to fail, right? We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of all these unknown possibilities that could take place, and we kind of psych ourselves up. We think, all of the things that could go wrong, maybe the people that might view us differently or not like the video that we put, or maybe judge us, right? We're going to put a video out that everyone's going to judge us over. We're worried about, I'm going to sound stupid. Listen, if you've been watching this long, you know that I'm not the most eloquent person. I'm stumbling around my words, but you know what? It's better for me to go live and to be on this podcast and not be totally polished and rehearsed than for me to not do anything at all, and for you to not hear from me at all. And that's just one of many examples. What about how we talk about doing for sale by owners, calling for sale by owners, or calling expireds, or connecting with your past clients? If you're like me, I'm an introvert, and calling someone without a reason is really uncomfortable for me. I don't like to just call people up and kind of shoot the breeze, so to speak. I can do it, but it's not something I enjoy. And I definitely have to psych myself up to do it. And when I do, we see good results. Connection is the thing that is really missing, I think, in our society in general. People long for connection. And we, as real estate agents, know that when we connect more, we convert more. So it's something we need to do. And yet, are we actually making the phone calls? Are we actually connecting with enough people on a weekly basis to meet our goals? So, again, the formula to success here is 90% mindset and 10% numbers. So, if you can get your mindset right, really the numbers are going to take care of themselves. You get your mindset right, you're going to be excited and motivated. And maybe you won't at first. So that's another thing I think we need to discuss, and maybe a myth that we need to dispel is that you're always going to feel like it. No. The person that is successful is probably taking action even when they don't feel like it, even when they're unsure, even when they don't feel prepared. And yet they know they need to do it. So they just move forward, right? They just do it. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, is getting your mindset right. I've heard from a lot of you, and really more and more people and more of our students, of how they are, uncertain. They feel lonely. They are, struggling with depression. And, mental health is a big thing. And I'm definitely not qualified to talk about that or to give advice on mental health, but I can tell you some things that have helped me. So I struggle. I struggle with like thinking that worst case scenario, so much so that I had to add to my core values this this sentence: seek first to understand. And for those that don't know, that is a principle that Stephen Covey outlines. I think it's a whole chapter in his book. I want to say it's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, something like that. It's an older book, probably one of the older first self-help books that I read, but it's an excellent book. And that principle is talking about how we jump to conclusions. And I'm number one worst. I'm the worst on this. So what will happen to me is I will text somebody, I will call somebody, and I won't hear back from them. And my first reaction is to think about all this negative of, oh my gosh, they're mad, or what's going on. I bet that they don't like me anymore. I bet that they don't want to do business with me anymore. I bet something went wrong, right? And so I'm telling myself all of these stories where in reality, they were probably just busy, right? There is something that had nothing to do with me whatsoever, that they didn't respond. And so maybe they took a couple days to respond. But in the meantime, I got so emotionally invested and so upset, and, telling myself all of these narratives and really stealing joy and happiness for myself in that moment because I was worried. And I have to remind myself, no. So, first of all, don't jump to conclusions, right? Seek first to understand. And I mean, that's one example of somebody not responding right away. But what about a misunderstanding? What about just having a conversation with a coworker or a client, or maybe your husband, and something just was communicated that you didn't understand, and you really thought that they meant something that they didn't? Why not ask questions? Why not seek first to understand before jumping to a conclusion? So that is something that I have had to implement, and so much so that I made it one of my core values at my real estate company, because I would do it to my employees. Being a leader and being a team leader with employees is it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to lead other people, and it takes a lot of self-discovery and a lot of self-work to become a good leader, and to be uh, good at communicating and having those hard conversations with everyone. And so that's why I put that there. So that is a principle that has helped me a lot. I also grabbed a couple of books just because I know I'm not the only one. And I mean, if you're brave and you don't mind sharing, let me know. Does anyone else struggle with keeping yourself motivated, keeping yourself excited, keeping that mindset right so that you can do the most you can and the best you can in this real estate business, I'd love to hear from you. So, some other books that I've read that have really helped me a lot is Switch on Your Brain. And this is by Caroline Leaf, The Key to Peak Happiness, Thinking, and Health. And she is actually a neuroscientist, I believe, is her technical term. She has like her doctorate. Yeah, she's amazing, highly educated, and she's also a Christian. And so, what I thought was really cool about this book is she gives you some exercises to literally rewire your brain. And mostly, just kind of to summarize the book, mostly it's about what you're dwelling on. What are you focusing on? What are you putting into your brain? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching? And reframing everything really in your life. Instead of thinking that your circumstances are happening to you, think and really understand and trust that everything is happening for you. As a child of God, we should remember the Bible verse, right, that says, all things work together for good for those that love God, to those that are called according to his purpose. So if I'm really trusting and leaning on my faith in God and my higher power, right? I know that no matter what's happening around me, that he has a bigger plan and a bigger picture in mind. But it's when I resist that, right, that I'm unhappy because I'm like, oh, I don't trust you to handle this. I don't trust you to make sure that this is all going to work out in the end. All I can see is this disappointment and heartache I see right now. So therefore, I'm going to be frustrated and upset about it and worry because I'm not in control. And, thinking about real estate, I have a real life example that happened to me. So some may remember this. I posted about it in the Real Estate Megamom Facebook group. But I had a client that had been showing properties to for quite a while. I think we've been showing her homes for probably 8 months. And we finally found the home. I mean, this was it. They loved it. They just thought it was amazing. And I let the agent know, hey, we're going to be submitting an offer. Do you have any other offers? She said, no, we don't. This was like on a Friday or Saturday. And so that Sunday morning, I submitted my offer. Well, I sent it in Sunday morning, first thing. Didn't hear anything. She asked a follow-up question. She did ask one follow-up question, which was, I think, if we could send over a pre-approval or something like that, which I did have, but we needed an updated date. So I told her, okay, well, we sent this over the weekend, so we'll get it in on Monday. And so, as far as I knew, we were going to kind of wrap this all up on Monday. I was going to send over the approval. There was no other offers to my knowledge. And I felt like we had it in the bag. We were offering over asking price. We had an escalation clause in there. Well, in our team meeting Monday morning, we were all sharing, like, we wrote this offer. I have this under contract. So we were sharing our wins. And one of my team members said, yeah, I made an offer on Northbrook on this property that I'm talking about. And I'm like, you did what? So come to find out, my showing agent had submitted an offer on this same property that I had submitted an offer on. And the listing agent failed to notify me that there was another offer. So I wasn't able to let my clients know so that they could, submit their highest and best offer. Oh my gosh, I was hot. I was so hot. Obviously not at my showing agent because she didn't know. She had no clue. But the listing agent should have notified us. And I do think it was an honest mistake, but still very frustrating. Obviously, my clients were disappointed and upset. And I was mostly upset that I felt like I had let them down. So I turned her into the real estate board or MLS board. And I'm like, that was unethical. You should have notified all parties, because the other side of that is she did notify the other agent that there was another offer. So that other agent was able to submit their highest and best offer because they were aware. So anyway, it was an honest mistake, I guess. I mean, anyway, but Now, since I'm in the same office and I see that this other contract went through, I've gotten to see that contract play out. And then meanwhile, my clients, I was able to find them another home and it's probably better, right? It's better than what they initially were going after. And so the property that we missed out on ended up having a hail claim, like a $30,000 roof hail claim, and the seller was unwilling to pay for all of it. The buyer had to pay for a portion of it. And I don't think my buyers would have done that. If they would have been the buyer that won the offer. So, my point here is I was so frustrated. I was so upset to the point where I actually filed a complaint. And that is very rare. In fact, I've never done it before. I've never, didn't even know the process to file a complaint, but I was that upset for my clients. But in the end, they found a home that was better. Turned out the property that we were going after was more of a headache, probably wouldn't have worked out. And I know that's a little example, but my point is, I think if we will give God time and really just give time in general to our problems, we can see how things work together in the end. Even think about your life. This year at the Abundance Conference, I shared a lot of my story and my journey in real estate, but also just my personal journey with some ups and downs that I've had, and talked about failure. And I promise you, each and every one of those low points that I experienced, I was not thinking, "Oh, this is all going to work out." I didn't have a great mindset about it. I was really disappointed with, and I'm not going to rehearse and go through everything that I've gone through now, but my point is, looking back, I can see how God was working everything together for my good, right? God had a plan. You know, the song, God is in this story. God is in this story. He's in my story and he's in your story. So I do think that that's such an important principle to remember, all things together for our good. Let me know if you can still hear me. It looks like maybe I lost connection. So if you're watching right now, if you can let me know that you are hearing this, I would appreciate it. So, anyway, switch on your brain. She talks about how you reframe that things are happening for you and not to you. Also, having a grateful attitude daily. An exercise she has you go through is to write down 2 or 3 new things every day that you're grateful for. Grab yourself a journal. If you are feeling down, if you are feeling depressed, do this exercise for the next 30 days and see how things change, right? So you're going to find 3 new things. Don't list the same things. Don't say, I'm thankful for my house, I'm thankful for my husband, I'm thankful for my kids every day. That's not going to work. Yes, you should be thankful for them, but when you're actually actively looking for things to be thankful, because you run out of things to be thankful for, right? After day 2 or 3, and you're like, oh, okay, now I have to get creative. Now I'm thankful for this thing that happened, right? So start looking for things to be thankful for throughout your day, and it literally changes your brain. She talks about they do like these brain scans, and you can literally see it repairing and changing your brain. So it's really, really a good book. I'd highly recommend it. Another one that I was reading this morning, I'm going to read a little portion of it today, but it's Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. And he is talking about how we need to detach ourselves from the outcome. So, for example, we're going on a listing appointment, going on a buyer consultation. We're trying to win business. Maybe you're prospecting cold leads, but in general, just trying to win business. And you know how they talk about commission breath? This is how it comes about. So this is what he says. It is when, oh, by the way, this is on page 26 of his book, if you have it. It is when pipelines are empty that salespeople find themselves face to face with the universal law of need. The universal law of need governs desperation. It states that the more you need something, the less likely it is you will get it. This all comes into play in sales when lack of activity has left your pipeline depleted. Is anyone there? Is anyone feeling that right now? When all of your hope for survival rests on one, two, or even a handful of accounts, the probability of failure increases exponentially. So, this universal law of need is basically the opposite of the law of attraction, and it states what you focus your thoughts on, you are most likely to get. When you are desperate, you no longer focus your thoughts on what is required for success. Instead, you focus on what will happen to you if you don't get what you need, thereby attracting failure. So, listen, you're not alone, right? All of us entrepreneurs, which is what each of us are as real estate agents, and compound that with the fact that we are taking care of our kids. We are many times the breadwinner for our households. We have so many roles and responsibilities that we're trying to juggle and take care of. It is really easy to take on the problems and cares of the world and to get in your own head and to think, I'm not good enough. Why would they want to work with me? Right? These are the things that happen. I had a really great conversation. Hang on, I need to get a drink. Okay. I had a great conversation with one of my sweet friends this last week, and I won't mention her name, but I think that her story and what she came to me with is something that we all deal with. So she's been working with a client that's been incredibly difficult. In fact, this client has some mental issues, and my friend felt like she was the only one that this lady had to turn to. So she wanted to be there for her. She's her real estate agent, and she really wanted to advocate for her, just, basically trying to take care of her. Well, so she ended up having to be essentially a counselor to this lady and to be a mediator between her and a family member. And so she went above and beyond, spent months and months, and lots of emotional, energy went into helping this person. And then in the end, they decided not to even list the house and decided to, I believe, rent it out or to move back into it or something like that. And so, she was calling obviously frustrated and down. And I think more so upset at the fact that she allowed this circumstance to take away from other things that could have been making her money, right? It stole a lot of her time and energy. And what I shared with her is I just feel like this is a good reminder for each of us. We should not take on other people's problems as our own. And I know that's hard as real estate agents, especially us women, because we're problem solvers, right? We're caregivers, we're nurturers, and we really feel like that's the right thing to do is to just be there, help them, listen. But in reality, the right thing for us to do is our job, which is as real estate agents, right? To give advice on how to sell or how to buy. But beyond that, if you're not a licensed psychologist or have training as being a counselor, you really shouldn't put yourself in that position because uh, you're basically going to be outside of your realm. So, one, you could give somebody advice that isn't the best advice because you're not trained in that. Two, you're taking on that emotional, because you're not qualified, you're taking on this emotional responsibility. And what happens if it doesn't work out? And then you've given this advice where you're not an expert in, right? So, I believe that we need to stay in our lane and refer to people that are experts. If we know of somebody that needs a counselor, recommend that, right? But their problem is not my problem. My problem, and I don't mean that in a callous way, right? I do not. I'm not saying we shouldn't care about people. But what I'm saying is sometimes we take on other people's burdens, and God hasn't given us the grace to handle them. He gives us enough grace to handle our own problems, not somebody else's. When I borrow their issues, right, I'm going to have a hard time. And it's also going to take away from my family and my other clients. So, and here's another thing I know a lot of people are going through right now and talking about mindset. There's some of you that are not going after listings because you're so afraid of this market. You feel like, I don't know what to tell people. I don't know how long their property is going to be on the market. I don't know what to tell them it's worth. I'm so afraid of letting them down that I'm not even going to try. Does that resonate with anyone? Is there anyone out there that is feeling that? I know we're talking to all of America here, and every market's a little different. Some of you, your average days on the market is still less than a week. Some of you, your average days on the market is like 6 months. Okay, so I know we have a wide range here, but I just want to encourage you, do not allow that fear to stop you from going after listings. People have to live somewhere. There are buyers buying. It's a matter of what are they buying, right? And why not buy with you? And so when you're going after these listings, the way to kind of detach yourself from the outcome of that is to approach the listing conversation with as much data as possible. And just be there as somebody who's interpreting the data. You are not a fortune teller. You do not have a crystal ball. And I've literally used those words in my listing presentations before. I let them know, based on the current data that's available to me, this is my recommendation. And if what I've outlined here does not happen, if your property is not going under contract in 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever, we can revisit this and we can make a price change or a price improvement. And you kind of put the seller in the driver's seat for the decision. You're there to interpret, you're there to let them know this is how I'm going to market your property, this is how I'm going to position it to the best of my ability, this is how I'm going to expose it to the most people. And here's my recommendation, here's my range, if you will. That's what I always do. I never tell them an exact price, I give them a range. And if you list on the lower end, probably will sell quicker. If you list on the higher end, it may take a little longer. And I'm going to give you updates on a weekly basis with properties that are similar to yours that we can both keep an eye on. We are partners in this. But whenever you go in there with basically you're buying a sign. That's what they used to say, buying a sign, meaning you're telling that client what they need to hear, what they want to hear, just to get the listing, and you're making promises that you can't fulfill. That's when you're going to have that burden on you. That's when you're going to have that pressure. And so if you've been in the habit of doing that, I would recommend change your strategy. Approach it with data, have hard conversations up front, set good expectations up front, and you will have a lot more success in it, and people will respect you for that. So I kind of was a little all over the place today, but hopefully you see 90% of success in this business is your mindset. So what are you doing to improve your mindset every day? What are you doing to keep yourself in that right headspace every day so that you can take the action? The other 10% is the numbers, and that is also important, right? You need to know, how much do you need to survive? This is where our training on Business in a Box within the inner circle is so important. We help you understand what's your survival number. What do you have to get by? When you know that, you have freedom. It's not unknowns. A lot of times when I go through this exercise with my clients, they're like, oh, I only need 15 closings to survive for the year or whatever. And, they were thinking, well, I have to have 30 or I have to have whatever for a month. And so they were just continually feeling like they were a failure, when in reality, they only needed maybe one a month to meet their goals, meet their basic needs. Know your basic, your survival, but then also know what's that big number, what's that dream number. It's good to know both numbers. And then once you know how much you need, then with our system, we can show you this is how many conversations you need to be having every single week. Do you know that number? Do you know how many people you have to talk to in order to generate a client? Do you know how many clients you need to generate a contract? Do you know how many contracts you need to survive? And do you know how many contracts you need to thrive? Do you know your numbers? Those are the things that we go over in the inner circle. So, all right, everyone, I will see you all next week. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. Bye.